New Year's resolutions. It seems like we all make them, but so many of us break them. I don't know if that's what it's like for you. It is like that for me. And so I want to propose an alternative. If resolutions aren't working for you, why not try a personal manifesto? If you want to know what that is, how to write one, and what they are, then stay tuned. It's coming right up. Hi, I'm Greg Taylor, and welcome to my channel, Make Life Better, where I share tips, tools, and strategies for helping you live your best life. And as I mentioned, today's video, I'm going to talk about personal manifestos, what they are and how to write one. But first, let's talk about these New Year's resolutions. I mean, it is this time of year. It's the beginning of a new year, 2021. And here I am in my casual clothes on the weekend, thinking about the future and taking some casual time, cup of tea, and thinking about what is it that I want to accomplish this year. But I've fallen trapped many years into setting unrealistic and impossible goals, otherwise, to many of us, known as New Year's resolutions. Now, a new survey that just came out, some new data has come out and shown that 75% of adult Americans actually have intentions of writing New Year's resolutions and setting goals for this new year. And actually, just take a look at this chart. It shows you what the top issues are that people tend to address in these New Year's resolutions. It's health, self-improvement, money, family, love, and career. And so those are many of the hot topics, and I think that covers some key goal areas that people work on for their life. But the challenge is what actually happens to those resolutions. Well, recent research shows that at best, 20% of people actually sustain any amount of those after a couple of months, even less than that, 15%. And so that means 80% or more of people, after a few months at least, have dropped off from their new patterns, the new choices that they wanted to make in their life as they move forward. And so why is that? And I've come up with a list of reasons in working with clients as a coach and a counselor on why they weren't able to sustain the goals that they set for themselves. So I'll put those up here. Number one is unpredictable life events. And we've learned that from 2020, haven't we? That you can never tell exactly what's going to be coming down the track at you in your life. And so for a lot of people, they got thrown off their goals because of life circumstances that threw them off of their focus and threw them off of their patterns. The second is unrealistically high goals. So when you're sitting around at Christmas at the end of the holidays thinking about the new year, it's easy to get excited. You're rested up, you're anxious about the new year, you're excited about the possibilities, and you want to improve your life. And so you set goals about quitting a job and finding a new one, or saving $10,000, or whatever the goal might be. But quite often we set them unrealistically high. And because lower ones may not sound like all that much change, even though it might be much easier to achieve. The third reason that they don't achieve their goals, and we may not achieve our goals, is that they're not written down and they're also not specific enough. So for a goal to really be achieved, it needs to be written down, focused on a regular, daily, weekly basis. And also it needs to be a SMART goal, specific, measurable, attainable, but also timestamped. So that just means, is the goal specific enough? How do you know if you get to the goal? And so rather than just say, I need to save up some money, being able to say, how much money is that? And how much is that going to be every month? And what actions am I going to take, or changes to my behavior am I going to take to start achieving that goal? The fourth is that the goal is unsupported, and that although we've set that goal for ourselves and we have all of these possibilities that we're thinking about, it's not easy to change a habit. Bad habits hard to break, good new habits hard to form, and it takes support. So being able to have a community support or somebody you're accountable to for those goals is essential. But a lot of times we don't have that direct support. And the fifth reason is a lack of clear connection to a deeper why. And so a lot of times we'll have goals about healthy eating or weight or money. And it's not that we don't know that they're important, but perhaps we haven't really let it sink into the deepest why that'll keep us motivated through the year. So if you do want to stick to using New Year's resolutions, those are some actual tips. If you just reverse each of those and say that you have to be ready and make your goals adaptable for unpredictable life, make them realistic, write them down and make them specific. Make sure you're supported and have some accountability, and make sure you connect to the deeper why, then you may have a better chance of succeeding at a New Year's resolution. But as I promised, in this video, I want to talk about another possibility, that if that seems like a little bit much, or if you've had a bad experience with New Year's resolutions and not achieving them, then how about writing yourself a personal manifesto? A personal manifesto is different from a resolution in that it isn't specific goals so much as in where I want to get to, but actually how I want to be, how I want to act, how I want to be around the people that are around me in my life. So if you think of examples, what's a manifesto? Well, the two most well-known ones is the Declaration of Independence from the US that says it's a vision, right? It's a value statement of here's what we believe in, here's what we stand for. Another famous one is the great speech by Martin Luther King Jr., the I Believe, or I Have a Dream. And so in that speech, he lays out a future and says, I have a dream. And then he lays out what that dream is. It wasn't a goal list. It was actually a vision, a passion for what he wanted the future to look like. And so really, that's what a personal manifesto is. It's a declaration of a vision, of a purpose, of how I want my life to be. And so here's a few tips on how to write a personal manifesto. First of all, start with identifying your core values. So what is most important to you? Is it money? Is it success? Is it family? Is it love? What are the core pieces of your life? Is it volunteering? Is it supporting people, being benevolent to others in the community? What really kind of sings to you? What really drives your motivations? What is really on the deepest level what's important to you? And so it can be important to think about values, and we don't always have a lot of time to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link in the description below to a values checklist just to get you started with some ideas to help you come up with what might be your personal values, your priority values, and how you actually put them in a priority order. So that's number one. Number two is to reflect on your life. Take some time in this beginning of the new year and meditate on what you want your life to look like. And that doesn't just mean in terms of monetary goals and success goals, but also what's important to you. You know, if you think about your own phrase, if you could make your own statement for, I have a dream for your own life, what would that dream statement be? What is important to you? So what is it that you believe? What do you want to prioritize? How do you know that you want it for sure? What are some positive statements about how you want to be, how you want to act, how you want to live in your life? And what people or things from your life are you most grateful for? So think about your gratitude list. Sit down and think about 5 to 10 things that you're most grateful for in your current life, and be able to say, how are those important to me? And how do I want to serve those things or support those things or those people in the coming year? The third step then is, having looked at your values, thinking about what's most important, your how I have a dream statement for this next year, is to then write a rough draft. Nothing worse than sitting with a blank piece of paper. So get out the checklist, take a look at your whole life values, your life values of your priorities, and write them down. And think about, if you were to say, I have a dream for this year, what would that dream be in terms of broad scope of a vision for how you want your life to be like? Think about your gratitude list and think about the things that you are most grateful for. And if they are the things that you're most grateful for, how do you want to nurture those or connect to those over this coming year? And so put that all down, maybe some short phrases or bullet form, and then leave it sit for a day and then come back to it the next day. Because it's not likely in that first sitting that we're going to get this whole manifesto written. So take some time away, come back to it, look at your list, and it's likely you'll have come up during that time with some more ideas for your manifesto that you can add to it, and you'll be able to have a fresh perspective and do some editing from the pieces. And so your manifesto can be a bullet form list to say, here's what's important for me in 2021. Or it could be a poem, or it could be, I have a dream statement, and writing out in more longer prose, longer sentences, what's most important to you. And so that's how you can come up with your personal manifesto or your own personal mission statement. And so I'd like to actually show you now, just as we transition to the end here, a video clip. I saw this online the other day, and I just wanted to show it to you. You can see that person and how they're standing on that floating wharf and how they're trying to make it to the end, bouncing off of those waves. And so for me, that was actually a visual metaphor for what it was like during 2020, right? When we set off on that 2020 path, we were not expecting COVID. We were not expecting lockdowns and all the transitions and impacts that has had on us in our day-to-day life and our family life. And so I want you to just think about this coming year. COVID isn't done yet. There's still more challenges to come, and each year holds its own challenges. And so why I like the idea of writing a manifesto is that if the year is going to be wavy, if that dock is going to go up and down, we need to be nimble and adaptive. And so rather than having very specific goals that may be hard to meet in all of that change and with those challenges, how about if I could say, how do I want to live no matter what the year is like? How do I want to be in this world? How do I want to focus on my gratitudes, the things I care most about for this next coming year? And so think about that as you write your manifesto. If things came at you this year, how would you still want to act? What would you still want to prioritize over this coming year? And so that's my question to you as we think about this year coming. And I'd love for you to make a comment in the comments below. What would you want to have in your manifesto? What's most important to you? Or perhaps if you do the checklist, what are some key values that come up for you? Or if you're brave enough and if you're willing for us to see it, to inspire us, would you be willing to share and cut and paste at least portions below of what your manifesto might be? Or perhaps after hearing this video and hearing about what are typically blocks to New Year's resolutions, that after hearing all of this, you think, no, I really want to set some resolution goals for this next coming year. Then why don't you share some of those with us so that we can be part of your accountability and your support group as you go through those during this next year. And so thanks again for watching. If anything during this video has been helpful, entertaining, or interesting to you, then be sure to click the like button. And if you'd like to hear more tips, tools, and strategies for living your best life in this coming year, then please subscribe below.